All right, starting on the subframe today, we're going to be able to get a pretty decent way on it, but we're going to kind of come to a screeching halt once we get the pins and tubing cut right there. Because there's a couple machining operations that have to take place on those that we just physically do not have the capacity to handle. So hopefully Dad can get those done tomorrow, off-site. But we got the backbone cut right here this morning. Like I say, 6x8, 3/8 wall box tube. Near as we can tell by the radiuses and everything, this is actually, because the actual axle tube on the combine is also 6x8. And by the radiuses, it's also probably 3/8 wall. So near as we can tell, this is the exact same tubing that the actual axle on the combine's made out of. The only difference is going to be for the purposes of what we're doing on this subframe, where on the combine, the 6 inches standing straight, or, it's standing 8 inches tall with the 6 inches laying flat. It's going to be turned 90 degrees, so it's going to be 8 inches with 6 inches tall. And then we have to, for some clearance, cut out a couple pockets to clear the trunnions for the back of the bottom of the feeder house cylinder mounts. So we got to plasma out, or lay them out, get plasma out the notches, and then hopefully we can take the cutouts, flip them back over, weld them back in, and box the holes back in. And for the size of the box tube, it basically does nothing to it structurally, so it's not going to hurt anything. I should see if Dad can print it off from the email and give the FEA analysis drawing. That way I could show you guys. Basically, it's the strength, deflection, yada, 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 all that stuff. And once it's assembled with the end plates on it and everything, minus the AutoCAD program did not have the pins in it. It was just, basically all the AutoCAD program was looking at was this frame minus the pins. And without the pins in it, so you don't have a 4-inch dowel pin in there to hold all this straight. Even without the pins in it, over the entire length of this frame, with 10,500 pounds of sides, so 2/3 of the machine's weight figured, with a full grain tank sitting on the tracks, it only showed a maximum deflection of 12 thousandths. So, and like I say, that was right out at the ends without dowel pin, or without the pins in. So you throw the pins in, it probably take that deflection down to 0. But let me see if I can. Where's the feeler gauges? Thought they were in that drawer. Oh, right there. Let me see if I can find you a 12 thousandths feeler gauge. Right there. Over the entire width of that frame, with basically 21,000 pounds sitting on it, the maximum deflection was that much out at the tips. There was basically nothing in the middle. So pretty strong. And like you say, you throw the pins in it so that's all doweled together, and it would probably damn near take that deflection down to 0. So anyhow, today we're going to be able to get the end plates welded on, get the pins cut, get the tubing cut. And I think we'll kind of be stuck there until we get the machining work done, because the tubing's going to need faced so that it's square. Like I said before, the pins are going to need ground. Because the tubing is not true 4-inch ID. It was 4-inch plus the tolerances on the ID of that tubing were plus 0 minus 13 thousandths. So and that's the same tubing that is on the track frames. And basically the track frames dictate what we have to do, because you can't, that's already welded together, you can't machine anything on those without a boring mill. When they built the track frames, they just took the tubing, welded it in, and then machined the pins to fit. So that's basically what we have to do. So if it was a 4-inch or a little more ID on the track frame, it would have been easier to bore the tubing and just leave the pins at 4-inch nominal, but can't really do that, and don't want to machine half the pin to fit in the track frame and leave a step in it, because if you put that step in it, that forms a stress point for it to start forming a crack over time. So it's better to just peel your 32nd of an inch all the way down it and be one diameter all the way down, because that eliminates any stress points in it. So anyhow, onto this. Okay, that's about as far as we could make it for today. Sorry I didn't show a whole lot of the process. That one little bit I videoed of Dad welding the view screen on the back of the camera started making some really funny, wavy, goofy, so I don't think it likes that weld arc. So I don't think it can be doing a whole lot of videoing of that without some sort of weld filter tinted lens to put on this thing, which I don't even know if there is such a thing. I've never bothered to look one up. The pins are just there, nothing's welded in, and then these back brackets are just tacked, because the pins have, or sorry, not the pins, the sockets, because they got to come back out and get faced off. The ends are welded on. These two holes ended up inside the tube, so to make up for the fact that you can't get to it, they have extra heavy 3/4 nuts welded on the back side. For comparison, that's a standard 3/4 nut. If I remember right, the standard 3/4 nut's 1 1/8 hex. If I remember right, extra heavy is 1 1/4, I believe. So you just run bolts in there, and obviously it's upside down right now, but this would be the back, because your pins are offset towards the back of the final drive. This is the top. These are the pockets that got cut in to clear the cylinder mounts, so those are all boxed back in. So hopefully our bolts are here tomorrow that we're missing to mount it to the frame. Hopefully our plates, because there's going to be 1-inch plates that overlap here and stick out yay far, however it needs to be, with your bolt pattern in it, and that's actually what's going to bolt to those blocks that we welded onto the axle spacers, with some gussets welded for strength. And then it over, I can't remember how far back it comes, but it showed no deflection in the strength analysis, so shouldn't be an issue. Well, like I say, we're down to the tubes need faced, and these inside ones need a bolt hole put in them to have a lock, or the retaining bolt to keep the pins held in. The pins need machined and have a hole put in them. And these are, we're basically keeping the same retaining setup with the collar on the end of the pin with a through bolt, so these will have to have a bolt hole put in them once they're faced off. But like I say, none of that can happen here, because actually these could probably be faced off here, because our lathe will turn those. But without a steady rest, Dad can't do these big ones because our chuck isn't big enough to hold something that big steady, and our steady rest doesn't go big enough to swing a 5-inch part. So those will have to be done off-site. Apparently Teeter wants out. But with that being said, I still got daylight, so I think what we'll do is I'll go up and get the combine, bring it down here, and we can get the cylinder stops put on. So that's out of the way. And I'd like to get the missing bolts and stuff put in the tracks to get the pads all tightened up, but without having them on the combine so that you can roll them over to get to different pads that need work on, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I don't think I'm going to screw with that until we get them on the machine, because it won't take that long. But anyhow, we'll get the combine down here and get that out of the way, and really that's about all the further we can go today until we get some machining work done. Pins ain't been out of there in a minute. Oh, don't tell me. You're gonna tell me. There's some boogers on the back of the pinhole from pushing. Clean them up real quick. Okay, a little bit of work with the old flat file later. There's that. And this. And then back it up. The cylinder decided to extend just a hair. Neato. Okay, it was just easier to get a floor jack and push up on the feeder house a little bit than to try to get the cylinder where it needed to be. Come on, you bastard. Because we don't have a drift that big. Alright, there's one. Alright, cylinder stops are on, so that takes care of that part of the deal. And like I said before, once we get the feeder house situation straightened out, whether that be with a feeder house extension or if I get lucky enough to find a rice feeder house that's longer, then those will be completely unnecessary and they won't have to go back on again. So with that being said, that's really all we can get done on it today. So I guess that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.